Am I the a-hole for admitting I felt like my dad replaced my mom and siblings when he remarried? I'm 22 am currently in family therapy with my dad, 50s. We've been going for a few months now. The whole thing was his idea. For years, I've kept my distance from him, avoiding calls, avoiding holidays, and generally living my life without much of a relationship with him. Eventually, he reached out and admitted he was scared we'd never be close again. He asked if I'd go to therapy with him so we could try to open up communication. I wasn't exactly eager, but I agreed. I've been showing up every week, trying to be honest, even when it's uncomfortable. The truth is, my distance from my dad started a long time ago when he began dating the woman who is now his wife. It was less than 2 years after the accident that shattered our family.
I was only 7 at the time.
My mom, my brother, 11, and my sister, 4, were killed instantly. My dad walked away, without injury. I survived too, but not without scars. My knee was badly injured and I have permanent facial scarring from deep cuts. But even with those injuries, the doctors said I was lucky. My mom and siblings didn't make it. My dad met his wife about a year later. 9 months of dating, and she and her 2 daughters moved into our house. 2.5 years after losing my mom and siblings, my dad remarried and legally adopted her kids. I remember when he asked if I wanted to be adopted too. I said no. At the time, I didn't have the words to explain it, but in my head it felt like choosing would mean erasing my mom, brother, and sister completely. After that, the distance between me and my dad only grew. To me, it felt like he had built a whole new family, and I was just the leftover piece from the old one. He called his wife's daughters his special little girls and his sweethearts, nicknames he used to call my sister. He gave them my sister's old toys, even her stuffed lion that I had kept with me after I got home from the hospital. I can't describe how gut-wrenching that was, seeing something that was my last link to her suddenly in someone else's hands. Then came the photos. One day, I realized every framed picture of our family was gone. In their place were smiling portraits of him, his wife, and her daughters. Sure, I was in a couple of them, usually looking miserable because I didn't want to be there. But others were just him and them, as if the rest of us had never existed. By the time I was a teenager, I had basically shut down around them. I stayed out late, ignored their attempts to show up for me, and refused to talk to my dad about my life. He'd come to my school talent shows, but I wouldn't even look at him. The more he tried to blend me into his new family, the more I resisted. When I turned 18, I moved out and lived with a friend. Eventually, we got our own place and I rarely answered my dad's texts or calls. Honestly, part of me thought he'd be happier that way, with his real family.
Fast forward to therapy.
I finally admitted the truth, that I've always felt like he replaced my mom and siblings when he remarried. I told him I never got used to it, never accepted it, and that was why I left so young. I laid out the memories, the nicknames, the stuffed lion, the photos, and said it all felt like he erased the people I loved most. My dad cried before I could even finish. He asked why I never told him sooner, and I told him honestly. Back then, the only solution I would have accepted was him divorcing his wife, not adopting her kids, and keeping it just us. There were so many nights I wanted to scream at him that I hated them all, that they were fakes, and that I just wanted my real family back. But instead of exploding, I just pulled away because I didn't want him to force me to love them. I told him I still don't want that. He apologized over and over. He admitted he threw himself into that marriage and those girls because he was in so much pain that he just wanted to focus on something that felt joyful. He said he thought I'd feel joy too, that having more love around would be good for me. But he never stopped to realize that for me, it felt like losing what little I had left. He admitted he failed to get me help, failed to ask the right questions, failed to make sure I was okay. But then he also said he'd never regret adopting the girls because he truly loves them and they had no father figure before him. He said what he does regret is not finding a way to help me through it all, not getting us therapy sooner, and letting me carry that pain alone for so long. He told me the hardest part now is knowing that I want to be kept out of the family he built. He left upset, and a few hours later, his wife texted me. She demanded to know WTF I said to him because he was devastated. Then she doubled down and said since she's his wife, they don't keep secrets, and I should just tell her what happened. Instead, I sent my dad screenshots of her messages. He apologized and promised he'd shut that down. Apparently, it led to a fight between them. Not long after, my uncle called me and asked why I had to stir everything up. He said Dad won't say what happened, but clearly he's hurting, and he wondered how harsh I must have been because Dad isn't the crying type. Now I'm left wondering, was I wrong for finally saying how I felt? Was I an asshole for admitting, after all these years, that I felt like my dad replaced my mom and siblings?